Hello, everyone. We are live, back in action, attacking the speakers from the field to the bleachers. This is the Power 32 podcast, rocking and rolling with my main man, Mr. Primetime 313, hailing from Detroit, but also repping his New York Giants, as you can see right now. Got John Harbaugh over here. He's ready to have a winning season, go from worst to first.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking over here for my man, but you're looking sharp, brother. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. How you doing? Yeah, a little bit of wishful thinking going on over here, and if the Patriots can go, like kind of worst to first, there's hope for the rest of us. So, but how's the weather down there, man?
Why not? Hey, this morning, man, it was like mid to upper 40s, so walking the dog was a little cold out there. Yeah, I know, not to you or anything, but then during the day it got to the 60s, but it was windy, so not your typical Florida day, but it is the winter time, and the rest of the freaking country is getting slammed with shit snowstorms.
Man.
My sister was showing me pictures. She lives in New York of the snow just piled up all over the place, her backyard, her front yard, but the kids are loving it. They got a new dog. The dog is loving it, so they're having a good time.
Dude, it's cold as hell up here. It's like going to be another single-digit overnight low type thing. And, these next, like I said last week, these next few weeks, man, are going to be, you're just kind of like, okay, let's buckle down and, hope that the end of March and April get here fairly quickly so we can kind of get out of this mess, man.
Yeah, you got a little bit of time.
It's getting old real quick.
You got a little bit of time. You still got that Denver Bronco weather that we'll talk about that you're going to have to deal with in the second half. That blizzard that blew the game wide closed. No more snow.
Wide closed. I love it.
Yeah, wide closed. Completely and totally
wide
shut.
Closed. Right.
Man.
That's funny.
So we got a whole bunch to get to over here today. We still have 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, basically. I don't know what, 10, 11 days from now, whatever it is, on this Tuesday. So next Tuesday, we'll get more into breaking down the X's and O's, but we still have a lot to talk about between the two games that went on last week. What we have to look forward to, the head coaching, other news that's going on around the league. But before we do that, we have our NFL trivia set from my main man, Mr. Primetime 313 over here. He's been doing a good job all year. Let's see if he can get it right this time.
I've been on like a 3 or 4 game lull here, man. I got to get back in the saddle. And then last week I used Savage. I took his advice in the comment section. Yeah, and that didn't work out, but got half the answer correct, but yeah.
Now, let's see what you come up with this time. Not an easy question, but one I think you can get. The New England Patriots are headed to their record 12th Super Bowl as a franchise. There are 4 teams in second place that have gone to 8 Super Bowls. Can you name those 4 teams that have gone to 8 Super Bowls?
Oh.
Doesn't mean they won them, obviously. Just
shit. Well,
let's
probably
see if Prime can figure this out.
Oh man, I know Pittsburgh. Let me see.
Pittsburgh's one.
Pittsburgh's one. I'm trying to think of because I think these are kind of. Let's see, Pittsburgh. Your Niners.
Yep, that's 2. Got 2 more to go.
Dallas?
Dallas is 3. Yep, well done. Dallas is 3. Now the 4th one actually is probably the hardest one. So far, well done. 3 for 3. Let's see if we can get 3 out of 4. 4 out of 4.
I'm trying to think of how many. The Commanders the Redskins / Commanders. I know the Giants were going to a lot back in the day. Packers. Shit.
Spitting out some franchises there.
Let's see. Elway went to 5. Manning went to Broncos.
Damn, look at him go.
Broncos.
Oh, nice.
Broncos. Because, didn't Manning or Elway went to 5, right? And then Manning went to 2.
Manning went to 2.
And then now, Jarrett's. Oh, my God.
Well, not Jarrett Stidham.
I mean, not Stidham.
It was back in the 70s. I think Dan Morton might have been the quarterback for the Denver Broncos at that time.
That was when they had like the early days of like Carl Mecklenburg, I think, and all those guys. Yeah,
Even before that, to be honest with you, I think
yeah,
so. But yeah, you got all four, man.
that's
Well done. I
crazy.
love it. I love it.
Before, because I was trying to, I didn't know if the Redskins and the Giants, like the Giants went to a few, but then like the Packers were kind of like the first one that popped in my mind. But
Yeah.
I was like, man, maybe 8. I'm not sure because for as great a quarterback play as they've had over the last 75 years, they've only been, Brett Favre only went to or 1-1, and then Aaron Rodgers, the great Aaron Rodgers, only
Great
won
Aaron
1. So
Rodgers. Yeah. Well, he went to a few, but yep, not
yeah, a
quite as
couple.
many as
Yeah,
8, though. So well done. Yeah, nobody in the chat got that one. So you were all over that all by yourself. Well done.
man.
Do your thing, man. Do your thing. Let's do a little conference championship recap where honestly, dude, if you told me at the beginning of the season that Sam Darnold would be facing Drake May in Super Bowl 60, I would have bet my annual salary and lost it, my friend. There is no doubt because I would have felt that confident that there's no way that both of them would go. Sam Darnold and Drake May. May having an MVP type of season. Sam Darnold had been up and down this year, but had been playing pretty much lights out in the playoffs, especially the last game, did a great job. But I am shocked that it's these two teams, these two quarterbacks, and two head coaches basically brand new to their teams. McDonald in his second year, and Mike Vrabel just got
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, I know at the beginning of the season that, we were kind of high on the New England Patriots and we're kind of looking for some improvement there, but I don't think either one of us, I know I didn't, pick them to go to the Super Bowl. But here's what
Not
I
that
want
far.
to here's what I want to say real quick though. A lot of people are bagging on the Patriots because of their schedule.
Yeah.
And if you look at the strength of schedule this season, you had 16 teams that had strength of schedule above 500 and 16 below. So this year was like perfectly symmetrical. And of the 16 teams that had above 500, 6 of them went to the playoffs. Or I'm sorry, above 500 strength of schedule, 6 of them went to the playoffs. Below 500, 8 of them went to the playoffs. And nobody's bagging on the Broncos. Nobody were talking about their easy schedule. Nobody was talking about the 49ers that had the easiest schedule. The Rams, were in that bottom half that, strength of schedule wise. And it just kind of irritates me a little bit when we do because you know how I feel about the schedule thing. I think it's a very weak argument. I've never used the schedule because especially in the NFL, you play who's in front of you. You're taken away from the fact that New England was still a damn good football team. They were well coached.
Yeah.
And sometimes we talked about it a few weeks ago. Sometimes, man, the luck and the chips just kind of have to fall right for you. And say what you want about strength of schedule and everything. The Patriots earned this Super Bowl trip, and you don't get to the Super Bowl just by having it easy. You know what I'm saying? And so congratulations to Mike Vrabel and Drake May and the long-suffering Patriot fans who haven't been to the Super Bowl, in 8 years or something like that, whatever it is. So, but yeah, I hate that people are back. Just like we talked about, if Josh Allen were to win it, they would kind of put the asterisk because Mahomes and all those guys weren't there. So, the NFL's tough. You've been around for a long time. NFL's tough, man. And to get to the Super Bowl, regardless of your regular season schedule or all the circumstances around it, that's still – a hell of an accomplishment. But the ginger-led Seattle Seahawks, say again what you want, man. Sam Darnold's had a hell of a season, and congratulations to them guys as well.
Gingerbread man.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of all. People say, well, the ratings people don't want this, but I guarantee you, there's 2 teams that do want it, and that's the Patriots and the Seahawks. They don't care about ratings. They're just looking at the fact that they're in the Super Bowl and they're ready to roll, man. Congrats to both of those teams.
I do hate to say it, though. There's probably the least amount of hype going into a Super Bowl that there has been in a long time. As we say to What Up to Real Savage. What's up, brother? Always good to see you. Talking about the upcoming Super Bowl a little bit over here. We're not breaking it down yet. We'll wait to get into the X's and O's and all that next week. But just the surprise that it's Drake May and Sam Darnold. But, Prime giving props to New England, as he should. Look, You beat who you play in front of you. It is what it is. It's not their fault that Bo Nix was out. It's not their fault that CJ Stroud played terribly. And it's not their fault that the LA Chargers had no offense whatsoever. They did their job. They did what they had to do. It doesn't mean that now they're going up against Seattle, who is, however you want to slice it, they're a top 3 team in the NFL, given what they can do on all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams, as we've seen Rashid Shaheed. Unbelievable. Man. But it even goes further than that. So Seattle is going to be maybe the toughest team they play all year. You want to argue Buffalo, that's fine. But Seattle's going to be really tough. However, I do think it's going to be a close game because the Patriots are a good team. They really are. And they've proven it throughout the year, and you showed it also. As Real Savage does comment in here. Bro, still can't get over last week about Zach Wilson. He's out here fucking everyone's mother. I love it. Yeah, I had to say it, man. It just kind of came out. Sometimes the lips move before the brain gets to think, and
I had a couple people at the job. What's up, Big Nine? How you doing? I had a couple people at the job bring that up as well. They kind of were taken aback a little bit by that. Like, did he really just say that? I said, yeah, he did.
Yeah, you really said it. Well, I'm not lying. I mean, it was in the freaking news. I mean, this guy was going after people's moms, man.
That's crazy.
Look, if you could do it, go for it. I don't know. But, so I praised Sean Payton last week for kicking field goals. Well, now everybody's getting on him for it. 4th and 1 early in the game. They're already up 7-0 prime. Sean Payton decides, let me go for it. They don't go for it. It's a chip shot field goal. You can go up 10-0. That's 2 scores in the NFL. In turn, not kicking that field goal resulted in a 3-point loss for Denver. So what I'm trying to say is what happens in the first quarter matters in the fourth quarter. And let me say this real quick as I take a drink of water. I'm sick of the analytics crap. The analytics stuff is ridiculous, and I'm glad I heard Damian Woody of ESPN. I'm going to give him credit. He brought it up today, things that I've been talking about. Analytics, you can't account for certain things like the players on the field, the momentum of the game, maybe the weather, the accuracy of the kicker, the team's 4th down completion percentage, or even the opponent that you're playing and their players and their percentages. So analytics may tell you 4th and 2 at the 10-yard line, go for it. But that's a whole bunch of bullshit because what I just said doesn't account for all those other things. It just tells you mathematically with some godforsaken algorithm that should be what you do. And that's nonsense because Sean Payton, in my mind, really blew a chance where we talk about that momentum. You go up by 2 scores, you got that Denver Bronco defense, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I think what you also have to take into consideration in a situation like that is that I'm sure you have people up there in the booth or on the sideline that were very in tune with what the weather was going to be later on in that game.
Yeah, so and I'm sure that Sean Payton knew that.
Yeah, so if you take those 3 points and you kind of put them in your pocket, that does kind of enhance your chances of winning a little bit. But the fact that they missed 2 field goals after that, was it 2 or 3? I know they missed a couple after that. Both.
Yeah, and again, it
was treacherous. Yeah. But hindsight is always 20/20. I personally agree with him. Kind of, you kind of put the dagger. You try to put the dagger in him early, especially when you know you got bad weather coming. If you're in a position, and as close as they were. It's like, man, it was, it's kind of, easy, relatively easy compared to like a 4th and 5. You kind of take your shot and you kind of try to put the dagger in them early because like I say, the bad weather's coming. Your defense was doing a great job up to that point. I don't know, man. And then you had, the moment they came down right up was their first drive, man, and they just kind of punched it right in the end zone. Stidham was, looking good on the first drive. So, like, all right, let's take our shot. But yeah, I do think analytics has gotten a little bit out of hand. And, Dan Campbell up here in Detroit, he's a prime example of feast or famine with the 4th downs, especially this year where they didn't do as well as normal. But I kind of agree with him a little bit, Prophet. I think I would have went for it in that situation as well, man.
Okay. All right. I totally disagree with you. Again, you go up 2 scores. It's not like you're going up 1 score. You're not making it a 6-point game. You're not making it an 8-point game. You're making it a 10-point game. And you have one of the best defenses in the league in your home, and you
Yeah.
have a backup quarterback, and points are going to be at a premium. So when you can get them, you can get them. So we'll agree to disagree on that one. But I really thought that was a bad move by Peyton. I've heard both sides. You make a good argument. I get it. But again, it's Jarrett Stidham. And while he gave them a little bit of hope on that, I think it was the second drive of the game through that beautiful pass.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows all the rules of the game, to be honest with you, because things really fell apart when he threw that backwards pass when he should have thrown it away. I don't know what the hell he was doing on that one. And on another play, he just ran out of bounds and stopped the clock to give Denver, New England more time to score the ball. So, again, that play where he threw it forward with both of his hands and tried to shovel it.
That was a panic move, man. You know, that's a guy who is not used to the fire and the heat of the moment, man. I think that was just a bad decision. It was kind of like back in the day when Dan Orlovsky ran out of the back of the end zone. It was played like that where it's just like, but you're not used to being in those situations, man. That's what a backup quarterback, that's the downside of having to put your backup quarterback in against a really good New England defense, a well-coached New England defense, and props to them for putting them in a position to make that mistake. So
yeah, but you got to be coached all week long to know to throw that ball away, and he just kept retreating backward and backward and backward. You just take the sack. I mean, if you can't throw it away, take the sack. But then again, that's why he's a backup quarterback in the NFL. That's why they only scored 7 points. And yes, the weather had something to do with it. There's no doubt about it. But that's Jarrett Stidham. Anyway, Drake May. You wanted to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say it's the opposite of what Caleb Williams did. Running backwards and, throwing a 35, 40-yard bomb, spot on in the end zone. So.
Yeah, who's got an arm like that?
What are you going to
do? Drake May's got a pretty good arm, and, he was able to show it off at times, but the weather really didn't permit. But his running was what helped. He ran for 3 first downs. One was a touchdown. The game's only touchdown, as a matter of fact. So Drake May looked really good at certain times. Again, the weather didn't permit once the middle of the third quarter came toward the end of the game. And the Patriots were really just playing defense. They were running the ball. They really weren't taking any chances. They made a couple of throws here and there. Mac Hollins had a nice one, but the game plan was right. And that's what Denver should have been thinking, that these guys really can't score on us. And it goes both ways. So, again, that's where I think you got to kick that field goal in the first quarter. But it is what it is, and that's how it went down. And the Patriots win the game 10-7. A well-coached game by Mike Vrabel, no doubt about it. But do you think the Patriots are the best team in the AFC?
Well, to quote an old coach, you are what your record says you are. And, right now they were 14-3 in the regular season, and they've done their job so far in the playoffs. I would have to say yes. And the reason why I say that, and it sucks that Bo Nix wasn't there to kind of, be able to kind of protest that a little bit out there on the field. But when you kind of go back and you look at the entire body of work, and remember, this is a team that lost to the Raiders and the Browns, and Mike Vrabel didn't let these guys, hang their heads and this, that, and the other. They went out, man, and they played really good football. And then you kind of look back on the season, like I said earlier, hindsight is 20/20. You look back on the season, you're like, you know what? They probably won some games that maybe they shouldn't have won, but that's what good teams do. And as good as Denver was, you can make a case that they were the best team in the AFC. We all saw the shortcomings of the Bills. And there was no Ravens or Chiefs in the playoffs to speak of. So, I would have to say, almost by default that, they are the best team in the AFC, and they proved it by going 14-3 and getting themselves in position to be in the Super Bowl. And, I'm not going to take anything away from them. Like I said earlier, it's just a lot of people are, man. And it just kind of bothers me a little bit because they don't realize how hard it is. You've talked to athletes over the years. I've talked to athletes. It's like, that's very, very difficult to get to the Super Bowl. And what do you think? Do you think they were the best team in the AFC, or do you think they were the best team in the AFC in the regular season, or do you think they currently are the best team in the AFC? Despite the obvious.
Well, I certainly think that if Bo Nix were healthy, that it would have been a different outcome, and the Broncos would have been the best team in the AFC.
But with the weather, do you think that? You don't think the weather would have?
Even so with the weather, because you know what? Maybe you go for the fourth down with Bo Nix. He's got a much better chance of completing it than Jarrett Stidham does, in my opinion. So, even so, I would still hate the call, but maybe that does happen. But
Mhm.
either way you look at it, the AFC turned out to be really not that strong this year. I mean, the Chargers are not that impressive. The Texans turned out to be not that impressive. So, Buffalo, maybe they seemed like they could have been the best team, but they lose by a field goal in Denver. And to me, Denver probably would have been the best team if Bo Nix was out there, but he wasn't. And that's how the game goes. So
Yeah,
we'll
it
see
was
what happens.
crazy. It was, and the thing about it, man, the AFC started off like wildfire. If you look back, like the first half of the season, you had the Colts. The Chargers were actually playing a little bit, better football. Buffalo, despite the early hiccup in New England, was playing good football. But then I think, and I'll just say it, and I hate to, I think the lack of Baltimore being competitive this year, and the lack of the Kansas City Chiefs being competitive this year, the lack of the Bengals being competitive this year, I think as the season went on, early in the season, like, man, you got really, 4 or 5 really good teams. But I think as the season went on, it was basically New England, Buffalo, and the Broncos, because you couldn't trust the Chargers from week to week. And it was, the Broncos, the Colts kind of faltered. And so, like I say, it was like basically the two teams that should have been in the AFC Championship game, when you look back at how the second half of the season went, ended up in the AFC Championship game. So I'm not surprised at all that that's how it ended up. But yeah, you're right though. It wasn't as strong, and I think whether people want to admit it or not, no Mahomes, no Lamar Jackson probably didn't have the same shine as it normally does.
Well, look, they were the number 1 and 2 seeds, Denver and New England, respectively. So, it only fits that they did play for the AFC Championship. In the NFC, we had ourselves a much better game, extremely entertaining. And I'm going to finally have to give Sam Darnold credit, because you know what he did? He scared away the ghosts. The ghosts that were there before, he said, shoot, boo, get the hell out of here, get out my face. 346 yards, 25 of 36, and 3 touchdowns.
Man,
he was sharp, man. He played a really good game. He's played a really good postseason. And I'm not going to say he's won me over as this great quarterback, but that it's really interesting with him. I was going to get to this later, but Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all in the same class as Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold, the one who gets to the Super Bowl before any of them.
That's crazy. And you know what? I'll admit this, and tell me if you agree, and chat, tell me if you agree. Was there any time during that game when you were like, okay, Darnold's going to, especially, by me picking the Rams, I think you picked the Rams. I picked them from the very start. Was there ever a time in that game you're like, all right, Sam Darnold's going to, this is the moment where Sam Darnold gives you one.
Yeah.
This is the moment. And then it never came. And Stafford played his ass off too. But
great game, Stafford.
It was like, all right, okay, dust is settling. They go up 24-20. Then, and then who scores the winning touchdown? The touchdown that put it away for the Seahawks. How ironic is that it comes full circle.
Cooper Kupp does it. Yeah,
that's crazy. But yeah, there was times, man. I was sitting there like, all right, Sam, let's go, man. Give us one. Make a mistake, a 3 and out. They couldn't get to him. No pressure at all from the Rams defense, and that's what killed him, man.
Yeah, that's right. He had time to throw, and guys were getting open. They did good route concepts. Jackson Smith and Jigba had 10 catches for 153 yards and a touchdown, where he was so open. I don't know what the fuck the defense was doing. How do you let a guy like that go wide open is way beyond me. I don't care if you're playing zone. You got to move over and you got to do something. Yeah. So I don't know how you get that over.
Whatever you got to do. You can't have the league's top receiver be the guy that kind of helps, put the game away. It was a great game, though. It was a really
great game. And Real Savage is right. Darnold matched Stafford throw for throw. They both played a fantastic game. There's no doubt about it. Stafford, his numbers were 22 or 35, 374 yards and 3 touchdowns. But where the game changed, the momentum, whatever you want to call it, but the biggest play of the game was that muffed punt by Xavier Smith. Changed the game. Seattle gets the ball, goes up by a couple of scores, And that was kind of all she wrote, because
Yeah.
the defense was good enough to keep them at bay, to not score too much. But then that brings me to a scoring issue that they had. And I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but we're just talking about the game in general. The Rams made it 31-26 at one point. They scored a touchdown. Now, it's not too late in the game, but you're in the fourth quarter and, points are at a premium.
Mhm.
I thought they should have gone for two. They end up just kicking the extra point. So they go down 31-27, down by 4.
Mhm.
What's the difference if you're down by 4 or 5 at that point? What does it really matter? Why not go for 2 and try to make it a field goal game? Instead, now you got to score twice. So I'm shocked that Sean McVay, out of all coaches, would choose to do that.
Yeah, Sean McVay made a couple of questionable play calls late in that game, like the game or when they went for it. When he ran down the sideline and you can tell he was kind of second guessing himself, and they kind of put the camera on him, and you can see him kind of put his play sheet over his head, like, I should have just followed my first mind. But you got Matthew Stafford, you got Nakua, you got Kyron Williams, and all these weapons. And I would have went for 2 in that situation as well, because not only does that puts pressure on Seattle to have to come down and do something.
No doubt.
Not just be able to kind of just, whittle the clock away or whatever. They kind of like, all right, they're not down 4 to where they need a touchdown. They only need a field goal to tie us. And conventional wisdom says in that situation, you kind of go for 2. But I think down the stretch, though, McVay made a couple of calls that were very un-McVay-like. I think he might have got caught up in the moment. I'm not going to say it was too big for him because he's a Super Bowl winning coach. But when I look back at like the last 7-8 minutes of that game, it's kind of like, man, this is not what we normally see from Sean McVay. And to not be aggressive in that situation, I think, like you say, you're down 3. Now you put a little bit more pressure on the Seahawks to actually, go down and maybe score again. But you're right. That muff punt changed the entire game. And, first and 10 at the 17-yard line, 14-yard line, they go right in,
right.
Touchdown pass. And then, that, like you say, that was kind of like the early nail in the coffin.
Well, one of those shaky calls you were talking about by Sean McVay is when it was 31-27 and he had about 5 minutes left to go in the game, and McVay elected to go for it on fourth down.
That's
again. They missed it, and Seattle was basically able to run the clock out for the most point after that. So maybe you kick the field goal there. You still have, 4 minutes and change, almost 5 minutes left. You make a stop on defense, and all you got to do is go down and kick a field goal. You don't need Matt Stafford to go the length of the field, which they only had, 20 seconds or whatever it was.
It was like 28, 22 seconds, something like that.
Not nearly enough time. Makes a great pass to Puka, but he can't quite go out of bounds. Puka did everything he could. He played, again, him and JSN are unbelievable. I'm going to get to them a little bit later. I have a little point I want to break up. But Puka had 9 grabs, 165 yards, and a touchdown. Absolutely
crazy. Absolutely.
Just
nuts.
Unbelievable stuff. I mean, really, how they, and the ball is going to them, and they still catch everything, and they still are able to get space and get open, and they just have a feel for not just the game, but the defense and where they're going to be and what holes to open up. And it's good that the quarterbacks are on the same page with them, and Matthew Stafford sure has been all year. He deserves MVP. I'm totally convinced of that. He threw for 12 more touchdowns than anybody else. I mean, he knows where his guys are going to be. It's just, having that advantage. And Sam Darnold, really, for everything that is said about him, when he was coming out, he was, ranked as one of the top guys. He's got all the tools. He can do it. It's, let's see what we got between the ears and everything like that. And now he's starting to shine. And again, I can't believe he's in the freaking Super Bowl. So we're going to break that down. We have a lot of time.
It's just like, I got to smile every time I hear that. It's just like, wow. And
unreal.
I like but when we watched JSN, there was a couple of moves in that game. His release off the line to where he cuts in and then he cuts out, and they
put him everywhere.
And
that's the thing. They put him in so many different spots. They move him around. So even in this upcoming game, you want to try to get Christian Gonzalez on JSN as much as you can.
Right.
It's going to be hard because he's going to be moving in the slot. He's going to be moving in the backfield. I mean, he's a true weapon.
Let me ask you this. for all of the hype, and I was kind of one of the people that were leading the hype train. What the hell happened to Devontae Adams? It's like he's gone. I mean, I get it. Puka Nacua in theory is your number one, but I'm still Devontae Adams. I still consider myself one of the top 5, 8 receivers in the league. And when I look back on the season, especially in the playoffs, it's like he wasn't the same Devontae Adams that we saw in Green Bay and even when he was with the Raiders for that short time. It's like he didn't come up as big as I expected him to in that game, considering the fact that he was very hungry for a Super Bowl. Never, still hasn't gotten to one. And I think him not being productive and him not being the Devontae Adams that we're used to seeing, I think that's one of the things that hurt the Rams as well, because Stafford was just basically throwing everything to Nacua and Parkinson and the fact they couldn't run the ball either, didn't help. So there were some things in that game that you look at, it's like, yeah, I can see why the Rams kind of let that one get away.
Adams had a few catches. He made a few plays. I mean, not totally. Obviously, he didn't do great, but he didn't have a great year. He didn't even have 800 yards receiving this year.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like he just got kind of lost. He conceded that, okay, I'm not the guy.
But he was amazing in the red zone. He had 14 touchdowns this year. He was a machine. He even had one in this past game on an out route. So Devontae Adams, I hear what you're saying. I definitely do. But that's what happens when you get a little bit older. He's been around for a while now. He's Green Bay forever. Then he went to the Raiders for a few years. And now here he is with the LA Rams. So he's not what he once was, but he still is a weapon. But I do hear what you're saying. Yeah, he didn't even have 800 yards this year. And in an offense like that, where Stafford threw for that many yards and that many touchdowns, you think that he would. But all right, we're going to get to big deal and no deal in a little bit. Just some other news to get to real quick. Mike McDaniel, love the move to the OC for the LA Chargers. I love it. You're going to get Rashawn Slater back and Joe Alt back, presumably healthy. Start next year. You got your full team of compliments. You got Ladd McConkey, you got Quentin Johnson, or Marion Hampton's going to come back. You got all these players, Oronde Gadsden. I think that McDaniel can start the way that he turned Tua around, which is almost impossible to do. I think that he can make Justin Herbert that much better of a quarterback, not just lowering his interceptions, but getting hit a lot less, getting the ball out of your hand, running an offense where it actually is going to be run first. We'll work off the play action, but that ball's coming out of your hand in less than 2 seconds. And that's how we're going to run the offense. And I think they have the players to do it, the quarterback to do it, and all encompassing the coaches to do it.
Yeah, I thought that was probably one of the more satisfying, if for lack of a better term, coach, of all the coaches that were moving around and getting hired and just said, other than Harbaugh, to the Giants. And I think Mike McDaniel is biding his time. He'll probably end up being a head coach again, maybe in a year or two. But I think this couple years, I think a lot of teams right now, it's kind of like, the Joe Brady thing with the Bills. It's kind of like, a lot of teams are pushing their chips to the middle of the table right now. They smell blood in the water with the Ravens and the Chiefs not being what they once were. And now the Chargers, my biggest thing is that I'm hoping that Jim Harbaugh just lets go. Let Mike McDaniel do his thing. You worry about being the CEO and maybe doing whatever for the defense and maybe working some magic with the offensive line or whatever. But I'm just hoping that they don't waste this hire to where you start hearing, Harbaugh wants control, or Harbaugh, there's a rift or there's a difference in philosophy. You wouldn't think that, because ultimately I think Harbaugh probably had the most to do with hiring McDaniel. But you're right. The style of offense, I think, suits the weapons that they have now. The only thing McDaniel's going to lack when you go from Miami to the Chargers is the lack of speed. You don't have Tyreek Hill. You don't have A-Chain. You don't have Waddle. So the speed aspect is going to be gone. But I think the philosophy is still solid enough.
There you go.
You'll see a big difference in Justin Herbert. So hopefully, for Harbaugh's sake, because there'll probably start to be some rumblings if this doesn't work. And, but hopefully if you're a Chargers fan, hopefully you go into next season with some optimism, difference in philosophy. All your, like you said, most importantly, you're getting your guys back healthy, and
Yeah.
two, all Pro Bowl tackles. Your boy Hampton will have another year under his belt. So if you're a Chargers fan, man, you got a lot to look forward to right now. It's just a matter of it all coming
Absolutely.
together.
They're already one of my teams to look for next year. Watch out for them.
So
You
maybe
mentioned
maybe
Joe.
they'll win the division next year. I picked them 2 years in a row to win the division,
They,
and they didn't do it.
they
So
could. They could. Well, they didn't stop. They stopped trying at the end of the season, apparently, and their offense just totally goofed up in the playoffs. But we've seen that happen 3 years in a row now,
yeah.
or whatever, 2 years in a row, 2 out of 3. Joe Brady, you mentioned him, promoted to head coach of the Buffalo Bills. I'm not a big fan of it. The only good thing about it, bro, is that he's familiar with, obviously, Josh Allen. Josh Allen probably had to sign off on this and say, yeah, I want Brady as our head coach. He's only 36 years old, hasn't been around for a ton of time, doesn't know his football, don't get me wrong, but I thought they would have gone the defensive way. Maybe a guy like Brian Flores, something like that, because you already got your offense set. Now what are you going to do about defense? You have to go try to find a guy, and I'm hearing they're looking for, what's his name, Jim Leonard from the Broncos.
From the Broncos?
He's a defensive pass coordinator.
Yeah.
So if he's good enough, I don't know that. I can't speak to that. I mean, they did have a pretty good secondary this year, but I put a lot of that on the players. But I don't know. I didn't really love the hire. I wanted him to stay as OC and then find a better head coach and a defensive guy to help fix that part of the ball. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, you're right in the fact that I think that Josh Allen had a lot to do with that. They wanted to keep some continuity. But if you were that confident as the owner that Sean McDermott was the problem, the coaching, because you didn't always speak about just McDermott individually. You said coaching, which would include Joe Brady. I would offer the argument that Buffalo's offense wasn't as prolific as some people may think, simply because we were so used to Josh Allen pulling rabbits out of the hat week after week after week. Their entire offense revolved around, it lived and died on what Josh Allen did. So the first thing I got to do if I'm Joe Brady is I got to go out there and either free agency or trade. I got to get aggressive to find a playmaker or two on offense, because Shakir, I love Knox and Kincaid, so you're probably set there, but your wide receiver room is not good at all. So the first thing I got to do is I either got to draft or I got to go out there and get aggressive in free agency and bring some playmaking wide receivers to the room, because for all intents and purposes, man, Josh Allen was the offense for the Bills. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, or I'd like to hear your opinion. What do you how long do you think he can keep doing this? They're going to blame him every year that they don't win, but at the same time, they're not putting the pieces around him on the offense for him to be able to do anything other than what he's been doing.
Yeah, and I think the real football people know that you have to put better players around him, because he has been Superman, and we call him that for a reason, because he has to do everything by himself. No offense to James Cook, because he is a great player, but the whole offense runs through Josh Allen, and that's the way that it is. He does absolutely everything for them, and he's going to be turning 30 years old again. He's not ancient, but you want to protect him. You don't want him running the ball all over the place all the time. He's an accurate quarterback now. He can throw the ball well. Get him some more weapons. I totally agree with you. So that should be priority number one right there. Get him more weapons. Yeah, they have other spots they got to fill. Their offensive line is pretty good. You want to definitely get help on the defensive side of the ball. But Buffalo Bills' new era with Joe Brady, your boy Brian Daboll going to the Titans for the OC job, going along with my boy Robert Saleh, who's the head coach of the team now. It is an interesting little concept over there. We'll see what they can do. And Daboll, he's been working with young quarterbacks, like Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, Jackson Dart last year for that limited amount of time. Let's see what he could do with Cam Ward. It'll be interesting. Can you explain to me how Christian McCaffrey is an MVP candidate, but he's only fourth in the odds for Offensive Player in the Year behind JSN, Puka Nacua, and Bijan Robinson? All due respect to those guys, but how is McCaffrey an MVP candidate, but he's not leading for Offensive Player of the Year? I don't get that.
Well, it kind of depends on what source you're looking at. You and I have already kind of made the case that it's a two-man race for Offensive Player of the Year. It's down to JSN and CMC. I don't, for as good as Puka's been, for as good as Bijan's been, I think you take Bijan out of the equation if you do the whole he played on a bad team type thing.
I would agree with that part.
But Christian McCaffrey, if there was like such thing as like most valuable offensive player instead of just an MVP period, there's not anybody in the league, and I'll say this as much as I tease you and McNiner about the 49ers, there's not a single player other than Josh Allen maybe in the entire league that is more valuable to the living and dying, the success of his team, than Christian McCaffrey. And people, I'll fight anybody on that. So in your mind, in my mind, he's one or two. There's no way that anybody that knows football can put him behind Bijan. Come on. I mean, that's not even close. I know Drake May is a candidate simply because they're trying to make him a candidate for everything. But Bijan, Puka, I'm not going to die on that hill. But to me, it's a two-man race. It's either JSN or CMC. And right, in my opinion, I got CMC for Offensive Player of the Year, man. It's not. Yeah,
JSN had something over 1,700 yards and about 10 touchdowns. I think Puka went for 1,700 yards and 10 touchdowns himself. Mm-hmm. And McCaffrey had 17 touchdowns this year. I'm trying to remember the stats altogether, but 17 touchdowns in the regular season, ran for over 1,200, and had about 900 receiving, again, becoming so close to a 1,000-yard guy, and he has done it before. He did everything, man, so I really just don't understand that. I don't get the odds makers. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just like this next statement doesn't make any sense to me. Real Savage, this is for you, man. I know you want to chime in over here. Bill Belichick.
What the hell?
Was informed he will not be a first-time Hall of Fame inductee. This man has won 6 Super Bowls. He's considered one of the greatest coaches of all time. Second in wins, right behind Don Shula, I believe. Yep. What the hell more do you want? Now, everything is probably for the football writers and the Hall of Fame voters. Spygate, Deflategate, we're going to punish him for that. What? Is that really freaking worth it? Because Real Savage saying Hall of Fame is officially a joke. Unfucking real, he says.
You know what? And I agree 130,000%. I don't care about Deflategate. I don't care about Spygate. I don't care about it. The man has more Super Bowl victories than anybody, and you can do the whole Brady Belichick debate. That's not what we're here for. When you're talking about pure coaching, you ask, excuse me, I'll tell you what, go around and ask the 32 current coaches in the NFL. Go around and ask anybody that's played for him. Go and ask anybody that's played against him other than the last couple years or so in New England. Who the greatest coach? It was a consensus throughout his entire time with New England, other than the struggle years before he left. It was a consensus. And everybody on any network, any show, any social media, this is where the hypocrisy kills me. And this is where I agree with Savage when you say the Hall of Fame is a joke, kind of like baseball. Everybody was always saying he's a first ballot Hall of Fame. You never heard anybody, never. And you and I have been watching football for 747 years. You never heard anybody say Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And for the Hall of Fame committee to do this, those people need to be medicated, because there's absolutely no way of anybody that's in the Hall of Fame. You would think, you talk about a slam dunk. There's only been, in my opinion, I don't know about you, there's only been like a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of slam dunk Hall of Famer first ballot. And Bill Belichick is right there towards the top. I cannot believe that he's not a quote-unquote first ballot Hall of Famer. I think they're punishing him a little bit. He'll get into the Hall of Fame, but it's kind of like this guy right here. People want to, punish him for this, that, and the other, but there's absolutely no way, man, that Belichick should not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I am shocked and surprised, and a little bit.
I hear you. Nah, you said it all, man. Doesn't make any sense. The only thing that does make sense, and that's if they're holding it against them, which apparently they are, is Deflategate and Spygate. They're holding it against him. That's why they're not letting him in on the first shot. They're calling him a cheater, and they don't want cheaters in with
Every
the
team
upper
cheats.
echelon.
Every team cheats.
Well, most teams do cheat, but he got caught red-handed 2 times and wasn't a good look.
I mean, yeah. But we.
So if the Hall of Fame is a joke, the Pro Bowl must be even a bigger joke because Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowler.
Shedeur Sanders. He can't even say that with like a straight face.
I can't say it at all.
You talking about the ultimate pity. I wonder how much Dion had, how much he was politicking for that. That when I heard that, I thought of you right away. And it's just like, how? Okay, so Drake May is not going to be in the Pro Bowl. I get it. But you mean to tell me there was nobody else in the AFC, no other quarterback in the AFC?
Even Aaron Rodgers, for God's sake.
That's
Aaron Rodgers.
That's oh my God.
Better than Shedeur Sanders. I mean,
you
got Aaron Rodgers, you got Lamar, you got Josh Allen, you got Drake May, you got Joe Burrow if you wanted to put him in there for the handful of games that he played. Justin Herbert. I'm just doing AFC right now. Patrick Mahomes didn't have.
Could have put Daniel Jones in there for crying out loud. I probably would have put
Jones.
I probably would have put Phillip Rivers in there over.
You see, that's the thing. All these. You see, that's the problem. All these guys got in beforehand. We're on like the 14th reserve Pro Bowl already. So when it goes down in history, did Shedeur Sanders make a Pro Bowl in his first year? Without any caveat or asterisk or anything, it's going to say yes, he was a Pro Bowler, and that is unbelievably sickening. I'm sorry, Shedeur. I got no problem if he was a person, but to have you be called a Pro Bowler is crazy. They should just do the Pro Bowl list, name the Pro Bowlers, and whoever can't make it, whether they don't want to go or it's because of Super Bowl or whatever reason, you just say Pro Bowl alternate. Different category, whatever you want to do, but it can't be the same thing.
I just love the fact that you couldn't even finish saying that sentence without laughing. That was hilarious. I don't know if they're trying to make up for the way he got treated in the draft, make up for the way that Kevin Stefanski treated him early on, early on this season with the Browns. I don't know, but what I do know is that there's help. You and me probably would qualify more for the Pro Bowl than Shedeur Sanders.
I'm saying.
I'm not sure if it's a. I don't know. I can't put my finger on why that happened. Like you said, you ran off the list of quarterbacks that were more deserving. Not saying, you know what, and at the end of the day, to me, nowadays, Pro Bowl is not even that big of a deal. But if you're still going to represent the league with your quote-unquote best players, Shedeur Sanders is not anywhere near that list. Like you say, as much as I hate Aaron Rodgers, I probably would have put Aaron Rodgers. Aaron probably would have went. Burrow probably would have liked to go. So I'm at a shock. I'm curious to see as this picks up steam a little bit. I'm curious to see how the greater good kind of view this. But this is a slap, and it's a slap in the face to guys that actually deserve to go to the Pro Bowl. Let's not.
Yeah, really. Boy, unbelievable. Okay, well, NFL. I mean, I guess you could do no wrong. You're the NFL, so God bless you. Go
the
right
shield.
ahead. And my man Prime, he could do no wrong in the next segment coming up. And we did a little bit later in the show, but that's all right. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to do a little big deal, no deal right now.
You know what? In this special playoff edition of Big Deal or No Deal, it has one question.
Oh, great.
One question. So earlier we alluded to the schedule and how people kind of knock on team, and they do it in college football, they do it in basketball, they do it in, well, not so much basketball and baseball because of the amount of games, but it's more of a timing thing in baseball, basketball, and hockey because you play so many games. But in college football and NFL football, a lot is made of the schedule and who you play and et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Do you think, how much of a big deal do you think the schedule plays in the success of a team? Because if we go by the theory that the Patriots had the third or fourth easiest schedule in the league, what does that say for teams like the New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans and other teams that were in the bottom half of strength of schedule that couldn't even get their feet off the ground this season? and people want to knock the Patriots. People knock the Niners a little bit, and the Broncos and the Rams were all in that bottom half of strength of schedule. But I want to hear your God's honest what you actually think of the whole using the schedule as an argument to determine whether a team is good or bad, because it works both ways, because you have teams that take advantage of it like New England, and then you have teams that can't get out of the chute like the Titans and the Saints, who had top 5, top 6 easy strength of schedule as well.
I'm going to say this every year, even though that you're the last place team and you play the last place team schedule, every year teams come in and they're different from the year before for probably half the league. All right. So you can't say that, all right, the Patriots had an easy schedule this year, because you really didn't know who was going to step in, who wasn't going to. It turned out that, yeah, they had a pretty easy schedule, just like my 49ers had a pretty easy schedule. They both ended up in the playoffs, and that could be part of it. But I'm definitely not putting anything on it. You play who's there. You play who's in front of you. These are NFL players as well. I don't care if it's the Raiders or the Browns or the Titans or whatever, any of these teams. There's still NFL teams. You still have to go out there and conduct a game plan and win, because even the Raiders were able to win a couple of games this year. Even the Giants were able to figure out to win 3 or 4 games or whatever this year. So they can still win football games. So no matter who's on your schedule, it doesn't make a difference. You got to win. So I don't put that much into it, even though I do understand it can play a factor. And New England, look, they're a very, very good team. I don't know how much you want to say excellent, but they did get lucky this year with how CJ Stroud played, and like I said, how Justin Herbert played, and then the weather in Denver. They had luck on their side, but there's another team on the other side of the ball that's playing football as well, and they're all on even playing ground, and the Patriots kept coming out on top. So I got to give it to them, and I'm not going to put the strength schedule as too much of a big thing, even though I do understand it can factor into it. The big point is that usually the following year, half the teams that were bad end up being either mediocre or good, or even very good. So things change from year to year.
And I agree with that 100%. But here's a flip side of that. There's like a 3-sided coin here. This team right here won 4 games last year. 5 games. No, 4 games, and ended up with the hardest schedule in the National Football League. How in the hell does that happen? But nobody was chirping about that. Nobody was getting upset about, the Giants finished last and ended up with a first-place schedule. And I think it kind of goes to when you're drawing up an offensive play, you draw it up, you look on a whiteboard and everything's all neat. What did Vince Lombardi famously, is there's a seam here and a seam here and a seam here, or whatever that
up the alley.
Yeah. So everything is drawn up perfectly. We didn't know that the teams that New England was going to play this year were going to be as bad as they were, as you, like you say, you don't know going, we do the schedule game, win, loss, win, loss, whatever. You don't know going into the season how the teams that they are playing are going to play against them. Just like from week to week, you can draw up that beautiful whiteboard and have all the lines and crosses and this, that, and the other. You don't know what angle this guy is going to take on that particular block, or how they're going to play this particular run offense or whatever. So that's why I get so adamant about when people use the schedule as a reason why a team is good or bad, because nobody said a damn thing when the Giants finished last in the NFC East and end up with one of the hardest schedules in the NFL, to where now, it's 2 years in a row now they've won like a combined 8 games or whatever it is. I can't think. I'm so upset right now about this because I was arguing with a guy at work, and he always throws the schedule up. In college, you can probably get away with it. University of Oregon playing against, Wayne County Community College a couple weeks in a row. I get it. But in the NFL, man, these guys are pros and they're getting paid just like they were getting paid, just like the Patriots. And the Patriots just happen to be able to take advantage. Now, to your point, next year will be more telling of what the New England Patriots are going to be, because they'll have a first-place schedule, maybe. Sometimes that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But you also have to remember, too, that there were 6 teams that had above 500 strength of schedules that still made the playoffs. So it's pretty evenly distributed when you look at it from an analytical standpoint. But it just irritates the hell out of me. But I agree with you, man. Week to week, game to game, like you always say, man, it's matchups. It's matchups. And
Matchups.
these guys are getting paid just like the guys across from them, man. It just bothers the hell out of me when people try to downplay what a team does based on their strength of schedule.
Yeah, Patriots played some good games this year, played a couple of tough teams and scored a lot of points. I mean, yeah, the Miami Dolphins, they put up 33 on them. They put up 42 on the Panthers. They beat the Bills. They took care of the Saints at home, who, were starting to try to find their groove a little bit. They beat the Falcons this year. They beat the Buccaneers on the road. That's a good win right there. They beat the Bengals, for whatever you want to say about Burrow and the boys and this and that. Patriots also beat the Ravens on the road. So for people who are saying, oh, their strength of schedule is this, that, and the other thing, I just named a few teams right there who were pretty good and they did a good job against. So, maybe it wasn't too terrible after all. And maybe the Patriots actually do belong. So, all right, good deal on big deal, no deal. Going back to last week, our conference championships both went 1-1. We both had New England and LA. Turns out New England, Seattle. So we'll make our picks next week on that. We'll hold off. And Prime, you got to forgive me. I don't have the score in front of me for Freaky Fantasy Football Draft, the last one of the year, but you did win that one. I do remember filling it out.
Oh,
and
wow,
you did
really?
So congratulations. Yes, you
wow.
did.
I ended up
but
on
you had Darnold and you had JSN, so that worked out pretty good for you.
Yeah, I ended the season on a 3-game winning streak, whatever it was. So yeah. I'm kind of feeling good about that as we carry the momentum into next season.
No doubt.
So, yeah,
man. Confidence into next season.
Congratulations on a great season with the picks. Congratulations on a great season with the Freaky Fantasy and your, our fantasy league and everything. It's been a fun season, and
yeah, man.
With chat participation and everything like that, viewership and everything. It's been
made it better.
This is my first full season being on the Power 32 podcast, man. I gotta say it's been a blast. And I just, like I say all the time, I thank you for having me on. And this has been like, I look forward to Tuesday nights, Thursday nights formally. And it's been like a really, really fun experience, man, to come on here, talk football with somebody that actually knows what the hell they're talking about. other than New England's a good team. It's like, come on, let's go a little bit deeper.
You're right.
But yeah, man, first full season in the books, and I'm looking forward to many more, man. So let's keep this thing rocking and rolling.
We'll keep it going. We'll keep it going, man. So we got just one more thing before we get out of here. I want confidence picks from you. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories, and then we're going to split for the night. I'm going to go walk the dog and wake up to 45-degree weather in South Florida. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what's going to happen. I know you wish for that, right? Who do you have more confidence in this game in? Drake May or Sam Darnold?
Right now, I'm gonna just say it. I got more confidence in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is playing like a guy who is pissed off because he's not getting the respect that he deserves, and a guy like that is dangerous. Drake May, everybody this is the year. Everybody expected this from Drake May. Nobody expected this from Sam Darnold. So right now, I got to ride with the guy that I think is playing with a little bit. We know what his coach feels like. Mike McDonald came out and say, he shut a lot of people up, and I think he did. I'm more confident right now in Sam Darnold. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm saying that.
I think I might go with Drake May, to be honest with you. I think I got a little bit more confidence in him to not turn the ball over, to be smart, to make the right play, and to run the ball when he has to. I think that's another element of his game that Sam Darnold doesn't have, that Drake May can really utilize and put Seattle on their heels and maybe even put a spy on him at times. That could be something they do and mess up that. I don't know. I kind of like Drake May a little bit in this situation over here. I'm afraid Sam Darnold, you never know. New England's got a tough defense. We'll see what happens.
You say he's going to turn back into a pumpkin?
Nah, I don't know. I think maybe he surpassed that. I think that he finally got over that hump, and now he's a good quarterback. Not a great one, but I don't know. You win a Super Bowl. I mean, maybe you become great. I don't know, man.
4,600 yards over the season, and you throw for over 350 or whatever it was, and 3 touchdowns in the AFC Championship game. I mean,
it's pretty damn good.
It's pretty impressive.
Pretty damn good. All right, more confidence in the run game. So Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, we'll see if he's going to play or not. I'm not sure what his status is. Versus the rookie Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. Whose run game do you like better? Who do you got more confidence in?
I like if Charbonnet's playing, I like their running game. I haven't been 100%. Travion Henderson has had spurts this season to where like, oh my God, the guy is, he's pretty good. Overall, though, I think simply because the combination of Charbonnet and Walker have proven to be a little bit more explosive, I think this year. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I think when they're rolling, they're really, really good. And Kenneth Walker can kind of carry the majority of the load alone. But when those two guys are, kind of like Gibbs and as we call them, Rhythm and Bruise in Detroit, when those two guys are rolling, man, they're tough to stop, and it's kind of fun to watch if you're into smash mouth, hard nosed football. So I think I got more confidence in the two of those than Stevenson and Travion Henderson.
Yeah, if Charbonnet is playing, I'd probably most likely agree with you, especially because I think that the run game is going to be more difficult for the Patriots to get off against that Seattle defense with, them just rushing four and letting the linebackers be free to come in and fill in those holes and those gaps. Again, we're going to talk more X's and O's, but all right, that's for the run game going with Seattle. I'm pretty much with you on that one. Wide receivers, I mean, because of JSN alone, I think we have to go with Seattle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not, and there's really probably not a big need to elaborate on that from my standpoint. It's JSN, no, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, it is what it is right there. All right, so far you are on Seattle. You said Sam Darnold over Drake May. You like Seattle's run game, Seattle's receivers, and whose defense do you have more confidence in?
Well,
Seattle again, huh?
Here's what I'll say. And this guy is a candidate for Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I wonder.
Nick Emenwari, man, he's a really, really good football player. Devin Witherspoon, just the fact that those guys can, some of the plays they made, especially later in the game against the Rams, it's like, man, you know what? You almost forget about Devin Witherspoon sometimes. Seattle drafted good corners, a couple years in a row. So
you got Love back there. He's a good player.
Yeah, and he's kind of like the forgotten guy back there. You kind of bring him in as a piece and say, oh man, he fits perfectly what we're doing. But I'll give the slight edge to New England's defense simply because that's what Vrabel, and I know Mike McDonald's a defensive coach, but I think Vrabel has more hands on the defense than I think McDonald does on the defense. And in a situation, gun to your head type thing, I would probably take New England's defense very, very, very slightly. Because they're a lot alike in certain ways. But I think, from a being solid, sound, fundamental, right place, right time type of thing, coaching thing, I got to give it to the Patriots.
Look, New England's defense has been solid all postseason. You can say whatever you want about their opposition and their opposing quarterbacks and them fumbling or throwing interceptions, but you have to give it to New England for creating things like that. They held the Chargers to 3 points. They go ahead and take care of Houston. They score enough over there, and then Denver only to 7 points. Yeah, Jared Stidham's in there. I totally get it, but it is what it is. So, all right, you're on Seattle, big time over.
Who do you take there?
Defense, I take Seattle. I take Seattle's defense. I think that they just fly around to the ball a little bit more. They swarm a little bit better.
Yeah. They kind of remind you of the old Legion of Boom. Nobody's ever said that. But.
They kind of do. And the fact that they can, much like New England, they can really, they don't have to blitz a whole lot. New England will blitz more than Seattle, but Seattle, they can get home with 4, and they can have 7 guys in the secondary looking back at the quarterback and seeing what's going on, where's he going. So that could be tough, but yeah, unfortunately, I like Seattle's defense a little bit. The last one I got for you is head coach. Which Mike do you like? Mike McDonald or Mike Vrabel?
Which
Mike Vrabel, again, his first year coaching the New England Patriots, taking them all the way to the Super Bowl, and Mike McDonald in his second year taking Seattle to the Super Bowl. Pretty impressive.
So Mike Vrabel is the 8th NFL coach to take a team to a Super Bowl in his first season. But this isn't his first rodeo. A lot of people are, forgetting what he did with the Titans and how well he, kind of kept that team a little bit relevant. I have to give the slight coaching edge to Vrabel because of his experience and what he's been able to do with that team. You know, if you look at the weapons, Sam Darnold and JSN and all the weapons around them, and then you look at Drake May, who's kind of really, you know, the New England doesn't pop out at you when, you know, as far as from a weapon standpoint, when you start to compare the two. And I think that Mike Vrabel has done a very solid job, an even-keeled job of having a good offense, having a really good defense. And I think just the experience factor, plus he's been there as a player. He's got 3 rings as a player. And I think that's one of the reasons why his players kind of buy in to what he says, because he's been there, done that 3 times, not just one time. He's been there 3 times, and he's got 3 rings. He's got coaching experience. And it's could this be the Patriot way all over again, man? Give me
Mike Vrabel did another really smart thing, and that was bringing Josh McDaniels to be his offensive coordinator, and that has been working out absolutely beautifully.
Talk about a guy that's guaranteed a job for the rest of his life. Josh McDaniels,
man.
Come on, man.
He's not a head coach, but he is one of the best OCs that we've seen in a long time, if not ever. He is up there with the best of them, and he got Drake May to be an MVP candidate this year. So give Josh McDaniels a lot of credit. As for Mike Vrabel, you did allude to it. Since 1990, he is to reach the Super Bowl in his first season with the team. Mike Vrabel. Then you go to Gary Kubiak with the Broncos in 2015. Jim Caldwell with the Colts in 2009. You had Gruden with the Buccaneers in 2002, and then Bill Callahan, same year, 2002. They were both rookie head coaches with those teams and facing the Super Bowl. And Tampa Bay just beat the crap out of them, man. Tampa Bay destroyed. I was in Vegas for that game. That was a lot of fun. We were just, I didn't sleep for 4 days, man. So I'm like watching the game all wide-eyed and all like, oh my God, what's going on over here? I'm all wired over here. I'm like, oh, Jerry Rice is getting his ass kicked in the Super Bowl. They can't do anything. Yeah. And as far as quarterbacks, check this one out. First season to start with teams since 1980 to go to a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer with the Ravens.
Oh my God.
Jake Delhomme with the Carolina Panthers. Then Tom Brady with the Bucks. Your boy Matthew Stafford with the Rams, and now Sam Darnold here in the 2025 season. Very interesting.
I would say that Darnold's in elite company, but when you threw Trent Dilfer in there, it's like, that just discredited anything that I was going to say after that. So
Trent Dilfer, for people who don't, he didn't even start that season. No. Tony Banks was their quarterback. And he was shitting the bed all over the place. And they're like, Dilfer, just come in and don't mess up. Please, don't throw interceptions. And they end up going on a run and unfortunately beating your Giants in the Super Bowl. Boy, did they kill him, man.
You know, stop. You know what, man? Look, see you next week, ladies and gentlemen. No.
Yeah, right. That's it. We're out of here.
You know what? I've been giving your 49ers praise and eating humble pie. You just keep taking shots. And that's all right. 5 years from now, we'll be back.
Look, your Giants are giving my 49ers misery throughout the year, so I need to take shots when I can. And the 49ers,
back in the day,
they really have. The Niners got a documentary coming up, Rise of the 49ers, going mostly about the Oh, man. It's on, not that I got to give out free information over here, but the channel that it's on, I don't get. But then it's on Sling TV also, and I think I get that. So if I get that, then I'm definitely watching, man. I don't want to miss that. I got to check that out. Joe Montana, baby. Oh, greatest quarterback. Gotta love him. Joey Montana.
Let me ask one quick question before we go. So the catch is always talked about one of the greatest plays ever. Is it really?
Yes, it really is.
He jumped like 6 inches off the ground. They make it seem like They make it seem like it was the Ben Roethlisberger, Santonio Holmes, toe touch, corner of the end zone, have no room to spare. Come on, and I was a 49er fan back. I love me some Joe Montana to this day. But they make it seem, in slow motion, it doesn't even look that great in slow motion. It's like Dwight Clark jumped like 2.5 inches off the ground, did like a Bill Laimbeer jump off the ground. And it's like, okay, come on. I mean, it's a great.
Listen,
come on.
This man jumped as high as he possibly could, fingertip.
Oh my God, not fingertip.
Landed in the back of the end zone.
Oh my God. He was like on the 9 or whatever. And it was not.
He was like he was the last option on the play in Montana. I remember he was talking about in practice. He was saying, "Look, if nobody's open, just go to the back of the end zone. I'm gonna throw it up to you, and you make the catch." And bam, it happened.
I mean,
yeah. McKnight
and then you
watch
watch it in real time. You know, real speed. It's like, okay, was it really that great? When I watch Roethlisberger to Holmes, and I'm not a fan of Pittsburgh, but when I watch that play, I still get goosebumps. That was great.
It was great. That was one of the best plays.
I think the best thing about the catch was the pump fake.
Well, yeah, the few pump fakes.
Right,
and then he got a whole lot. Montana was great rolling out to his right.
Yeah, he was.
He was so good at that.
Like I said, I love him, but it's just like, was that really that great a play when we look back at it? But
yes, it was. Damn it!
That's
Watch him out. It was great. Not to mention the fact
he called me by my name. He said David. Like, that's funny.
To go to the Super Bowl and to beat the hated Cowboys, man. Yes, it was an unbelievable thing.
Funny.
The circumstances
6
around
inches
it,
off
fantastic.
The ground.
Oh man, hey, I had a great time.
Oh look, now McNiner wants to, on the final thoughts. Now McNiner comes. He heard that. Probably didn't hear anything else, but he heard that. That's funny. I just had to take a parting shot there. Congratulations on a good season.
All right, McNiner, Savage, we love you guys, man. We appreciate the chat. We appreciate you guys, man, making the show more fun. Yeah, next week we're definitely going to be breaking down the game, and we have to do NFL honors next week as well. So we got a couple of things to do next week. We got our show, NFL honors, and we're going to break down the Super Bowl, make our picks, and get into it, man. So I'm looking forward to it, Prime.
Yeah, we'll probably have a couple of surprises too when it comes to the coaching or the NFL honors. So you guys want to make sure you tune in for that, because there's probably going to. He says, Ed, wait. What did he say? Dwight Clark caught that over Ed. Stop it. Just
over Ed Two-Told Jones.
Go watch it again. Go watch it in real speed and then tell me how great it is.
One of the greatest plays. That's why they show it all the time. It's one of the greatest plays.
Let me ask you this. So if this was Eli Manning to Eric Ebron, would that still be a great play? No, it would not.
If the circumstances were the same, if it was to go to the Super Bowl, yes. Okay, well,
first of all, it wouldn't be because everybody hates Eli.
Right.
First of all,
you're not getting away with that. Why is Eli Manning to David Tyree one of the greatest plays of all time?
I mean, it kind of really isn't.
All on his freaking head, for God's sake.
I mean, but I'm saying it's just, Eli, same situation, trade number 16 for 10, and then put Eric Ebron in that situation, or Evan Ingram. I'm sorry. Evan Ingram in that situation, and they're not calling it one of the greatest plays of all time. But I digress. It's Joe Montana. You got it,
He wasn't even Joe Montana yet. That was 1981.
Look at this.
He was becoming Montana.
See how easy it is to get 49er fans riled up when you talk about one play. One play. Look, we're not going to say how, we'll say that.
It's been over 30 years, man. We haven't won a Super Bowl in over 30 years. We're getting really frustrated over here, okay? Getting real frustrated. And what's this real quick, real savage timing? And Eagles and Giants, only team to ever beat Brady in a Super Bowl. That is actually true. Yep, that's right. But Brady went to 7 of them. Went to 10 of them and won 7 of them. I mean,
you talk about insane stats. That's right up there with take away all of Gretzky's goals, and he still would be all time in points. That's some crazy. Right. But anyway, everybody, thanks.
Ovechkin did pass him in goals, though.
Yeah,
Ovechkin
he did.
Is the all-time goal scoring leader. How about that?
Over 900.
He looks old, man. What is Ovechkin now? Like 62?
I don't know. I think 64.
64, yeah, but that's right. He just had a birthday. All right, guys, we had fun, man. We're gonna do it again next week. If you know your football, you know your X's and O's, you know these teams, you know how to talk, you know how to chat. Get in on it next week, same times, Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern. Be here. We appreciate you. Much love and respect right back to you, Real Savage. We appreciate it. Prime, had a great time as always, my man. We'll do it again next week.
Yes, sir. Thanks to the chat and everybody chiming in. Like I say, be here next week, man. We got a lot going on. You guys aren't going to want to miss it. So
no, you won't. Thank you, boys and girls. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.